Some exciting news to share with everyone. I have teamed up with one of the most dynamic people in the ADHD, autism, chronic illness, natural healing world. Her name is Jen Kozek, and she's the author of Healing Without Hurting and the kids' book, A Healthy New Me and ADHD Free. And we've teamed up to create a special group experience for parents of kids who are struggling with any of these conditions, who are looking to help their kids function better and heal naturally, drug-free. The two of us work a lot individually with parents and on social media and online and podcasts and so forth, and we get lots of questions from parents, and often the same questions come up over and over again, which are, there's so much information out there. How do I know what direction to go? You know, I read this book and it told me to eat these things and feed my kid these things. And I read this other book that told me something else. And I read this book that said to get these tests. And I read this book that said those tests are useless and do these things instead. So we decided that what would be a valuable service would be to team up together, bring our own strengths, mine from the natural health, nutrition, neurology world, hers from, she's a practicing psychotherapist, and the mom of two kids who she's helped heal from these types of conditions naturally. So we have a lot of awesome background to bring to the table to really support parents like you. And our goal is to be able to lead you through step by step and be able to give you feedback along your journey. So the format is primarily a closed Facebook group, and it has a totally affordable monthly fee because we wanted to make it accessible and affordable for many people to be involved so we could get out there and make a difference, because both of us have the mission of impacting a huge number of parents and kids in this world and make the next generation the best generation. I am going to put the link in the show notes. So if you're not listening on the kidseatingbroccoli.com website or kidseatingbroccoli.podcast.com website, go there, find the show notes for this episode, and you'll find the link to find out more about the group, to sign up. I highly encourage you, and thank you for listening. Welcome to the Kids Eating Broccoli podcast, where we believe that raising healthy kids shouldn't be complicated. Our mission is to inspire 20 million families worldwide to take the steps to raise the healthiest generation in our history. We'll interview some of the world's leading experts in nutrition, human potential, and children's health, as well as extraordinary chefs and foodies to gain insight into simple, fun, and creative ways to introduce natural health into homes across this planet. Hi there, welcome back to the Kids Eating Broccoli podcast. Today we have as our guest registered dietitian Stephanie Ferrari, and she's the co-founder of Fresh Communications. So thanks so much for joining us, Stephanie, and being willing to come on and share some of your great wisdom and knowledge with us. And I'd love to jump in just by asking you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, kind of your background,
Sure.
and how you got to where you're doing today and what you do today.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm a registered dietitian, and I'm also the co-founder and president of a company called Fresh Communications. Fresh is a media relations and marketing agency that works exclusively with the healthy food and nutrition industry. We are staffed primarily by registered dietitians, and we work very closely with media, including broadcast, podcast, print. And we also do a lot with social media. And our mission is really to use these communications channels to help people eat better, really. I mean, that's really what why we're working with these healthy food companies that are our clients that we really believe in. And so it's been a really great journey. Our company is just a little over 2 years old. And so it's been a great experience so far, for sure.
Awesome. And I know, we chatted a little before we started recording about some of, what you were saying about what you've noticed with working with basically the nutrition industry as related to parents with feeding their kids. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about what we were talking about?
Yeah, of course. So being in the position that I am, both as a dietitian and in marketing in the food industry, I've just encountered a lot of questions and a lot of parent questions, really, that are show about feeding your kids and what to give them. And what I'm realizing is that parents are experiencing almost debilitating stress because there is so much information out there in the media today. And some of it's correct. I mean, it's not all misinformation, but there is a lot of misinformation as well. And they're hearing one thing from one place, something from another place, and their heads are exploding. Like, well, okay, what's healthy? What's not? What do I give my kids? And honestly, they just want to give up and just throw in the towel and give their kids Coca-Cola and candy. But we know, that's not what we're supposed to do. So I've been having these conversations and realizing that, parents could really use some real world advice from a real world mom like myself. I have 2 daughters. And yes, I am a health professional, but that does not mean that I don't experience the same stress that every other mom feels when it's time to feed their hangry kids when they're, over hungry or, it's just like the time before dinner. And so, I just wanted to reach out and see, if I could be of help in that way.
Yeah, that's wonderful. We run into that a lot. That's part of the inception even of the Kids Eating Broccoli podcast. So it makes a lot of sense that we found each other out there.
Definitely.
Yeah. So why don't you let us know maybe some of the best tips you've found or things that you've suggested to parents or even used yourself potentially that
Sure.
you have found really work in those difficult moments.
So what my number one tip is this, and it kind of trickles down into a few more detailed tips, but make healthy foods seem like special treats. I'm telling you to trick your kids. It doesn't sound great, but really it is, because there's nothing like handing your child a snack and having them think it's a special treat that they're getting, and you knowing inside that it actually has protein and fiber and antioxidants. So what do I mean by that? So one thing to do is go to your local Michael's or arts and crafts store and pick up some popsicle molds. And at the beginning of the week, take yogurt. I opt for plain yogurt, but it could be flavored yogurt. It can be vanilla or chocolate or strawberry, and, squeeze it into the popsicle mold. And then on top of that, have you seen those Happy Baby Plum Organics, fruit and vegetable blends in the pouches? Mm-hmm. So all I do is I just put the vegetable blend in the pouch, the yogurt in the pouch, I swirl it with a knife, stick it in the freezer. And then when it's time, the worst times in my household is like right around 5 o'clock, like right before dinner, when the kids are like really hungry. And you don't want them to overeat because you want them to eat the nutritious dinner that you're working on. But you also don't want them to be clawing at you and crying in the kitchen asking for food. So I'll pop one of those popsicles out and I'll say, hey, you want a popsicle? And my kids will just be so excited and say, yes, yes, yes. In my mind, I know they're getting protein and they're getting a vegetable or a fruit, so fiber as well, and antioxidants. But to them, it's something special. It's something that will satisfy their cravings. I know, in some ways you don't want to teach your children that, indulging in a popsicle before dinner, is a good habit. So I'm not saying that you should do this every single night. What I'm saying is that you should reserve that trick for those really tough moments where you feel yourself about to give in to the cookies or the crackers. Instead, give them something that you can feel good about, and that will satisfy what they're asking you for. Another thing that I like to do is dip blueberries in yogurt. It's really easy. You take your toothpick, you dip it in, put your blueberry on it, dip it in yogurt and freeze them. So you just freeze them on parchment paper, and kids think that is a really fun snack. Again, I know that, the popsicles, the blueberries, people are busy. Moms are super busy. It does take a little preparation. So I do have a couple of product recommendations that I can give too that are just easy to grab off the shelf if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. I think that popsicle idea is great. We do something like that. We've done something like that with our kids with even watermelon when it was watermelons were in season just a little bit ago. Just put that in the blender and then freeze that mashed up mush. And then it's basically they're eating, a fruit, but it's a special treat because it's a popsicle.
Exactly. There's something about a frozen food.
Yeah.
That I don't know what it is, but they just love it,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that feeling dizzy, feeling overwhelmed is becoming more and more common for parents. Our lives get busier, our kids' schedules get busier and all that stuff. So definitely doing that stuff at home as much as possible is going to be both less expensive. We know we know where the stuff's coming from, but having some things that you can pull off the shelf, when you need to. So yeah, I'd be happy to hear those suggestions.
Sure. So there's one, I'll give a suggestion for like a snack food, then a suggestion for more of like a lunch or a dinner food, and then a suggestion for like when you are baking, some ingredients that you can use to decrease the sugar in the baked goods. Great. So the first is perfectly free fruit bites. They are so cool. They're these fruit bites that they're not fruit snacks. They're somewhere in between a grape and those like gummy snacks. So the gummy snacks I consider candy, right? And then fresh fruit is fresh fruit and a great choice. Perfectly free fruit bites are, they look and feel like grapes, but they taste like fruit snacks. And what I love about it, so they're really like a healthier, more fun fruit snack. And what I love about it is that each one contains half a serving of fruit. So, and only 5 grams of added sugar. So that to me is very real world, because I've had this experience where my 3.5-year-old is really hungry. She doesn't know what she wants to eat. So she's feeling a little bit frustrated, and it could be before a meal, usually before lunch or dinner. And I just need to grab something quick because I'm in the middle of cooking, right? And so what can I give her that maybe I didn't make the popsicles that week or something. It's been an extra busy week. I pull the fruit bites out of my fridge and I show them to her, and she literally does a dance. She is so happy to get those fruit snacks, and they contain real fruit, and they're low in calories. They're pretty low in sugar. I mean, as far as fruit snacks go, and it keeps her busy. She finishes it, and then she still has room for lunch or dinner or whatever it is that I'm cooking. So those are really, in my mind, kind of a game changer for people when it comes to those like real world solutions. Another one for lunch or dinner is Grateful Burger. Now, Grateful Burger is actually a new company. So I just recently learned about them. They're based here in Massachusetts, where I'm based. And it's a blended burger of 60% all natural meat and 40% fresh vegetables. Sure. And you would never know it. So they're delicious. So, kids love hamburgers and cheeseburgers. And so you give them the hamburger or the cheeseburger on their plate. And, you put a side of vegetables because you want them to get their vegetables. What usually happens? They eat the burger. They don't eat the vegetables, right? And so as a mom, I look at that plate and I'm like, darn it. I really wish that those vegetables got eaten, but they didn't because the kids were focused on the burger. So this is a game changer in the sense that it blends the fresh vegetables into the burger. And you're getting all of those antioxidants. And also it's a sustainable choice because it's cutting back on the amount of water used to produce the burgers. It's pretty amazing when you think about it, because Americans eat something like 40 billion burgers a year. And, it cuts back on red meat consumption too, which, as we all know, is, a treat in of itself. So you eat your burgers, make them Grateful Burgers. You're getting a little bit more vegetables into your children's diet, and even in your diet too, which is an added bonus.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, that could be something, certainly with the product, because it makes it simpler to purchase it. But even if you're making them, yourself, that's a good thought to look
Absolutely.
At in there.
Absolutely. I've actually heard of people putting in blueberries too, to make them to make them a little juicier. The cool thing about Grateful Burger, I love them because they go from freezer to grill. So I don't have to worry about like having them go bad or.
Right. Well, they probably have sort of perfected what vegetables to put in there to have it not be so obvious that there's vegetables in there. If you put the wrong thing in, then it may be very obvious, right?
Yeah, I know. I haven't tried the blueberry trick, by the way, so I can't vouch for that.
That is definitely interesting.
I know. I think so. Grateful Burger, they use portobello mushrooms, and then if you go on their website, you can see they also have like a chicken with kale and garlic. So yeah, I mean, I really think it's a new company again. So you have to go on they're available in Massachusetts, which is where I live, but I think they'll go national soon. I mean, they're the first blended burger at retail. So I think it's a great invention.
It sounds like it to me. So that's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you said you had one other.
Yeah. Have you heard of Swerve? Uh-huh. Swerve Sweetener?
Yes.
It's so it's erythritol with a blend of like prebiotic fibers and natural flavor from citrus. And I use this in all of my baking. So Swerve is a natural sugar replacement. And so it has no impact on blood sugar. It's 0 calorie and it tastes and measures like sugar. So when I found this product, it was, hard to believe at first. Is it going to taste as good? Is it going to upset my stomach in any way? And so the answer to that is yes, it still tastes really good. It doesn't upset your stomach. And my kids, they would never ever know that I made those chocolate chip cookies with erythritol, with Swerve, and not with sugar. And it's pretty amazing because I can feel really good. Sometimes I'm giving them muffins for breakfast that I made with bananas and whole wheat flour and Swerve. And it's really great because they're not eating sugar for breakfast, but they think, they taste that, they're eating something sweet, and so they like it.
Yeah, well, especially if it can pass the kids' taste test, that they don't think it's something weird,
I know.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they like it. They are the true testers of taste, aren't they? They're not shy about letting you know if they don't like something.
Exactly. So those are some great suggestions. I mean, in terms of making it, an exciting experience, and then having those products. So what kind of feedback have you gotten from parents who you've suggested these things to?
Really good feedback. I mean, I'll start with the Swerve. I mean, that's been one I've known about Swerve now since February, and everybody that tries it, my circle of friends, my circle of colleagues, is just completely blown away. And I think, I have some people in my life that suffer from type 1 diabetes, and it's a game changer for them too. And their kids, if they're kids who have diabetes, they don't want to feel like they're out of the loop on, all the special treats at the holidays and at parties and whatnot. And so it's really a good way to include kids who have special diet needs too. I do know that perfectly free fruit bites are in all of my colleagues who have kids in their refrigerators, because it really is just, there's really no reason not to. I mean, they're just really convenient, and you can pack them in your bag on the way. They come in like these little pouches, and they're really a great way to just, pull out a trick if you need one. And then I'd say the Grateful Burger, because it's such a new company, we're just starting to get the feedback on that, but it's been really, really good. I mean, people cannot believe that these burgers have vegetables in them because they taste so good. And overall, I just say parents are really looking for these real world tips. They really are. I mean, they want to know what's, they're going to work. A lot of people are waking up early, dropping their kids off at school or at daycare, going to work all day, getting home late. Their kids are hungry and tired. They're hungry and tired. They just want to get dinner on the table and then hopefully be able to spend some time with their children and play with them or hear about their day. And when you having the added stress of what to cook or what to eat, it's really hard, it's just really tough. So I'm just on this mission to try to provide, whatever insight I can as both a mom and a dietitian to help parents today really thread that needle and find a balance that they can live with, for a long-term period.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that there's companies out there who are making, see that. I mean, obviously there's a market for it, but for a long time, it's tough as a parent to be able to buy things that are ready-made and feel good about giving them to our kids. So much of that stuff is what we want them to never eat or avoid. And so it's cool that there's companies that are starting to fill that
right.
market for us, because really in working with parents, we all want to do what's best for our kids to the best of our ability, but time is a huge one. So, when you talk about shifting the way your family eats, that's usually the first resistance is like, I don't have that time to, spend hours making meals and all these ideas. Not that it really has to do that. When you're talking about the frozen yogurts and berries and yogurt, what are we talking about really? 15 minutes but that's the idea, is that there's going to be this huge time commitment. And so to have things that really alleviate that stress. Because, as you were talking about, sort of being in stress and overwhelm and almost panic, as parents trying to do our best for our kids.
Yeah.
And so just knowing that those are available, knowing that those are in the freezer, can alleviate some of that anxiety too, I imagine.
Absolutely. And I think what's interesting is that we're always told like packaged foods aren't good, right? So we all are thinking like, stick to whole foods, don't buy anything that comes in a package. And while I typically agree with that, there are so many products on the market today where that simply isn't true. Packaged processed foods that, if you look at the nutrition facts panel and the ingredient list, are actually good for you. And I think that the market is catching up to consumer demand where, yes, we understand we need to eat whole foods. We know that's better for us. We're doing that for as much as we possibly can. But by Friday night, I'm just exhausted. And if I don't have a packaged food that I can just, whip up, whether it's like instant brown rice or, things that are just convenient, like Grateful Burger, for example, then I'm going to order pizza, And so, there's a place for that too. But, if it's not what you really want, if you want to be able to cook a wholesome, nutritious meal, but you just don't have the time to do it from scratch, there are these brands out there that are making it possible for us to have our packaged foods and eat them too, I guess.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. Well, cool. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to share with us some of those tips.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. What if somebody wants to know more about you, you as a dietitian, as a person, and also your company, why don't you tell us where we could find that?
Sure. So my website is freshcommunications.com. That's my company. And then you'll find out a lot about me there. And then I'm also on Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram, both as my company and as myself. So I can be found in all of those places. All
right. Excellent. Well, again, I want to say thank you. I appreciate it. Definitely been some helpful tips and advice that you shared. And,
thank you.
So that's wonderful. So thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode of Kids Eating Broccoli podcast, connect with us online. You can find us on Facebook at Kids Eating Broccoli Podcast or at Dr. Brad Ellisor DC. You can also go to our website, drellisor.com. That's DOCTORELLISOR.com. Go to iTunes and leave us a review and a rating, or on Stitcher. And be sure to keep in touch with us so you can hear the next episode. Sign up for our mailing list or like us on Facebook. You guys take care now, and let's make the next generation the best generation.